Good day, dear cadets, and welcome to the presentation of the Marpol 73/78. And today we will talk about the Annex 6, which is regulations for the prevention of air pollution from ships. So this is a reminding of the structure of the Marpol Convention, where you can find 6 annexes: oil pollution prevention, liquid chemicals, hazardous substances packaged in packaged form, sewage pollution, garbage pollution, and finally the currently last annex of Marpol is air pollution prevention. So the protocol of Marpol Annex V was entered into force May 2005. So it took a lot of discussions, several years to come to this annex, but finally in the 19th of May 2005 the protocol entered into the force. Flag states party to the protocol. There are enough countries with enough world maritime vessels tonnage. So when these 22 countries signed for this protocol, it entered into the force. Non-parties to the protocol, what will happen with them? So all ships are obliged to comply with irrespective of flag state. According to Article 5 of Marpol Convention, no more favorable treatment. No port state control inspections unless port state regulations will be applicable to this country. For example, to the European Union, yes, countries according to their directive. So here we have some difficulties, but again, these regulations are worked for all vessels. Why we need to take care about the air pollution prevention? So because the effect of the world maritime industry became important to prevent air pollution. So emission gases from ships, there are several different types of these emissions. Oxides of nitrogen oxides create ozone depletion in the air. Sulfur oxides create acidification. Carbon dioxide is a GHG, carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, gas, soot, and some particulars. The concentration of the different exhaust gases are variable according to the engine type, engine settings, and fuel type. So we are producing these, black smokes. So after this presentation, you will be able to explain the regulations of this protocol, the noxious oxide technical code, the supporting guidelines, and how it is important to keep our air clear. There are 19 regulations, but this, from 12 to 18 regulations, so are very important in accordance to the application to all vessels above 400 gross tonnage. So, ozone depleting substances, ODS, yes, ODS, deliberate emissions of ozone depleting substances are prohibited. New installations can only use HCFCs, so hydrochlorofluorocarbons, until 2020. So these substances, when removed from ships, must be delivered to reception facilities. So where you can find these HFCs? Of course, this is, our different home appliances also can produce it, yes, like conditioning systems, our fridges and so on. They are all using HFCs. So for all engines except emergency engines, please pay attention. Emergency engines, it's a safety boats, life-saving appliances, and so on, which are using in the emergency conditions. So for all engines installed on ships after 1st January 2000 of more than 130 kilowatts must comply to these regulations. So this is very important that you have to know the system of application. The NOx emission is limited to 17 grams per kilowatt per hour for engines operating at 130 RPM, rotations per minute, but reducing to 9.8 grams to kilowatt for 2000 RPM. The more powerful engines, when you use it on full rotation per minute, it should be decreased up to 9.8 grams per kilowatt. So between these revs, the limit is designated by equation. So you see the formula. Existing engines can become a new engine if substantially modified. So after especially some repair. So regulation 13 requirements are fully defined by the NOx technical code, recommended technical reading. So certification of engine on manufacture and checked on installation for settings. Certificate is required for ships for the Annex V. It's a engine International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate and International Air Pollution Prevention Certificate are required. PSC inspection for the engine by the parameter check method. This is technical method, and port state control officers are able to provide this check. So simplified measurement method. This is another option which the vessel can go through because of the previous positive results. Here you see the ship certification requirements. Yes, this is logical scheme. Yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So you can see all the way how the vessel can be taken the certificate, and in which case it can get no certification. Yes, so please try to stop on this table and understand the process of certification. Regulation 14, applicable to the prevention of sulfur oxide pollution. The worldwide sulfur cap on fuel oil is set at 4.5%. Sulfur emission control area. So this is new stuff which is created by IMO in this Marpol Convention. This is SECA areas, sulfur emission control areas. Areas under this annex are Baltic Sea, North Sea, and English Channel. Currently, we have these SECAs. So sulfur level of fuel is 1.5%, or alternatively use an exhaust gas cleaning system. So what does it mean? So the vessel which is entering English Channel or Baltic Sea or North Sea should switch from heavy fuel oil to the marine diesel oil, from HFO to MDO, or it should prove that it has exhaust gas cleaning system on board of the vessel. So regulations for the first SECA comes into force in the 19th May 2006. So you need to understand and use this knowledge in the practical stuff. Shipboard procedures for SECAs. So we need to have a plan in advance for entry and enter commencement date of preparation in logbook together with bunker type quantities on board. So logbook entry, when entry requirements met, and entry into SECA, remember latitude and longitude, date and time, together with bunker figures for each tank. How it looks in the reality. So you have to have a plan. The captain, the chief officer, chief engineer, they have to have a plan how they are planning to enter the SECA area. So they put the date, time in logbook. So they put the latitude and longitude where they believe that they entered in the SECA. And also they have to count the amount of the oil they consume during being in the SECA area. So maintain daily record of bunker use and the quantification of bunker tanks whilst in SECA. So do not commence shift to high sulfur fuel until exit from SECA. So during all the time you are in the SECA area, you have to continue to use marine diesel oil. So log existing conditions for bunkers and latitude, longitude with the date and time when you get out from SECA area. So VOCs, so volatile organic compounds. So subject to individual terminal regulations, tankers may have to be equipped with a vapor return manifold. So notification of VOC control by a port to the IMO shall be 6 months before enforcement. Tankers can accept tankers up to 3 years after the date of VOC control enforcement by the terminal. The standard for the design of VOC return may be, and operation is contained in Marine Safety Committee Circular 585. So vapor return manifold is some extra equipment which will prevent the volatile organic compounds emission to the air. Regulation 16, yes, it's related to the incinerator. Incinerators installed after 2000 to meet regulations and must certify to meet the specification of the resolution of MAPS 76, yes, Appendix 4 of Annex 6. Each incinerator must have a manufacturer's operational manual. Crew responsible for the incinerator operation shall be trained and follow the operation manual. So incinerators should be certified and they have to have manufacturer's operation manual. So how to use an incinerator? The following substances are prohibited from incineration. The stuff out of Annex 1, 2, and 3 cargo residues and related packing materials. What does it mean? No oil residues can be put in incinerator. Noxious substances, yes, some dangerous substances. So even the packages of these materials cannot be incinerated. So PCB, this is plastic stuff. So garbage as defined by Annex 5 containing heavy metals, yes, in content. So petroleum products containing halogens, also prohibited from incinerator. So PVC can be only incinerated in type approved incinerators. So this means you have to have on board specific, yes, very special incinerator which is approved to use for the PVC. Flue gas temperatures shall be monitored and not less than 850 degrees of Celsius for continuous feed and reach 850 degrees within 5 minutes for batch feed. So this is very special requirements, and it's related to incinerator. How fast, how high temperature will be in the incinerator to fire, to burn the stuff inside the incinerator. So regulation 18, fuel oil quality. This is very important in terms of documentation. Fuel oil shall be blends of hydrocarbons derived from petroleum refining. So fuel oil shall be free from inorganic acids. So fuel oil shall not include any added substance or chemical waste which either jeopardizes the safety of ships or adversely affects the performance of the machinery, or is harmful to personnel, or contributes overall to additional air pollution. So this is very important to remember, that oil quality should comply with these regulations. So bunker delivery note, BDN, this is very specific document, and it becomes a statutory document on every vessel. Must be kept on board for 3 years for inspection, and a copy may be taken for further examination by port state control. So you need to be responsible for this document at least for 3 years. So must contain all data required by Annex 5, like a name and IMO number of vessel. Yes. So the port where you get this fuel, date of commencement of delivery, details of fuel oil supplier, product name, quantity, density at 15 degrees Celsius, and sulfur content in percentage. So a declaration that fuel supplied meets regulation 14 and 18 requirements. Please remember, this document is important, and it will keep you out of any punishment from side of port state control. So your oil supplier should be certified. The oil content should be approved by the documentation. So, and then you keep this BDN on board of the vessel for 3 years. So not only document in form of paper, but also on board of the vessel you have to keep fuel oil sampling. Yes, sample of this oil, how it does. So when you charge your vessel with oil in some certain port, not the first part, not the last, but in the middle of the operation, you have to take some sample of the oil, seal it, yes, and has to be supplied to ship by bunker supplier. So these samples should kept on board of the vessel. For each individual BDN, a sample has to be taken at the vessel's bunker receiving manifold. See procedure in associated guidelines. So international safety management manuals. The sample label has to be signed by both the bunker supplier's representative and the vessel's chief engineer. The sample size shall be not less than 400 milliliters. The sample is not to be used for any commercial purpose. So you keep it for your own kind of safety, yes? The sample is to be retained on board for at least 1 year for inspection by port state control as required. So BDN you keep for 3 years, and sample can be kept for 1 year. Shipboard procedures for BDN and samples. Adequate bunker manifold location for sampler attachment. external safe storage location for samples for 1 year period. So it should be some special box, I think will be okay. Logbook for sample retention and custody transfer. Safe storage for BDNs and other documentation relating to bunkering on board. So again, this is on one side, it's a BDN in form of paper document, and the sample you keep for 1 year. Yes, this is, operational requirements, the instruments for control, and the technical progress doesn't, stop all the way. We know that the technical changes are making our industry more clear and clear. So how to reduce emissions of nitrogen oxide? So we have several techniques, yes, humidification, water injection in charged air system. So water fuel emulsion, yes, fuel quality, yes, and switch to the natural gas. Natural gas is a zero emission fuel. So optimization of the combustion process. This is technical adjustment of the engines. Injection timing retard, yes. Injection rate profile tuning. Compression ratio, so the higher ratio of compression, so the less emission. Charge air temperature and pressure, exhaust gas recirculation, direct water injection, selective catalytic reduction, and engine modification. So all of them can be used separately or in combination of different ways. Port state control, flag state control guidelines. So the guidelines in different countries are different, and the common base for the guideline is MEPS resolution 53. Yes, here you see it. Initial inspection and primary survey parameters and clear grounds for in-depth inspection. In-depth inspection parameters, detainable deficiencies, non-party ship inspections. So these all aspects are for the port state control. So the inspectors, they can proceed, the vessels can proceed through the inspection in different ways. So it is in-depth or clear grounds like this. So it depends on the background of this vessel. So not only Marpol, but also other regional regulations are taking care about the prevention of air pollution. So in the United States of America, they have regulations applicable to the United States flagged ship, and also in the California area. So California Air Resource Board also increasing the regulations, yes, the local or regional regulations. So in the European Union, there is a directive, yes, and current directive in force from July 2000, subject to extension and amendments, and due to come into force 2005. Due to the introduction of new engine technology, for example, HAM, pressure for further reduction in NOx emissions is going on right now. International and regional pressure for the further reduction in sulfur emission control emissions. Introduction of the particulate emission control. Further considerations for VOC control. As you see, there are a lot of instruments in our hands to reduce the emission to the air. So we have several techniques, so we can implement the new technologies, and all of them are just appointed to one goal: to reduce the emission to the air of different gases. Thank you very much for your attention. Please, if you have questions, you can send it to me and I will answer all your questions accordingly. Thank you very much one more time for your attention and bye-bye.